The Beyond the Fame podcast is fed by Lido Pizza. Lido Pizza never cuts corners. For menu and locations, visit LidoPizza.com. And of course, this podcast would not be possible without our longtime title sponsor, the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Upcoming featured entertainment includes Night Ranger on May 16th and Ashley McBride on May 17th. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Happy 85th birthday to Hollywood icon James L. Brooks, who directed classic films like Terms of Endearment, Broadcast News, and As Good as It Gets, as well as creating iconic TV sitcoms like The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Taxi. I spoke in 2018 with actress Marilu Henner, who earned 5 Golden Globe nominations as Elaine Nardo in Taxi, which you'll hear us discuss after first teasing her Broadway show at the time called Getting the Band Back Together. This is a real treat because we're joined today with Marilu Henner, who's going to be in Broadway's Getting the Band Back Together. Actually, it already is. It just launched. But thank you so much, Marilu. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, are you kidding? I look for any excuse to talk about this show because I love it so much. I'm having the best time. And it's got this it's sort of a combination of all the things I've done in my life that I love the most. It's got the feeling of Grease because people will recognize themselves in these characters. You know, people when they saw Grease, which I did many years ago, they'd say, oh, I'm that person, or I'm that person, or I know that person, or whatever. And I think that happens with this show. It also has the feeling of Chicago, believe it or not, because I get to do a number with all of the guys, so it sort of feels like Roxy in a way, playing Roxy Hart. And it also has that feeling of Taxi because, it's all these fabulous characters and I get to do that number, as I said, with the guys. And there's just something about it. It's a real family. I think that's why. I think we've got a real sense of family when we do the show. So that's important.
That's
and
awesome.
I think it reads to the audience. The audience is going crazy over it. And it's really funny. I hate to say this, but like some of the New York critics, they just didn't get it, the stodgier critics. And now we've got all the hipster guys coming in, and they're saying, we got a review the other day from Vox that said, if you don't like getting the band back together, you don't like joy.
You hate yourself and you hate the world.
Yeah, something like that. It was so funny. It was really, there was a great, and this was in the title. The title of the article was, it says, Getting the Band Back Together is a giant musical comedy dad joke. To hate it is to hate joy. I mean, how's that for a title of an article? Isn't that great? And it's true. The audience just goes there and they laugh for 2 hours and 15 minutes and they just scream and howl. And, we feel so good doing it and we adore one another. So, something's reading.
Did you say a 2-hour musical comedy dad joke?
That's what they said in the article.
That's so great.
Getting the Band Back Together is a giant musical comedy dad joke. Yeah.
I love dad jokes, so bring it on.
I know. Isn't that funny? My 38-year-old nephew saw the show the other day, and he was like crying afterwards. He said, "Oh my gosh," he said, I've never seen people like me up on stage before. He said, "This is my generation. This is any guy from 30 to 50 or to 60 or whatever loves this. I mean, would really love it. And it's very few musical comedies are things guys will sit through. So." He loved it. He said it really spoke to him because there's the whole concept of do-over. There's, what am I doing with my life? Am I ready to make that transition into adulthood? Things like that. So, and I get to sing and dance, and all the other females in it get to sing and dance. So we're having a great time.
That's so awesome. Before we go any further, tell our listeners the premise. I mean, because I know what it's about because I interviewed 2 of the producers yesterday, but just give them the basic, plot summary here.
Okay. So a guy by the name of Mitch Papadopoulos, he's turning 40 years old. He loses his job on Wall Street. He has to go back home and live with his mom played by me, who's an ex-rocker chick who settled down after this wild past. She settled down with a nice kind of CPA sort of guy. Our son took his path, but now I have him back home. His father's passed away a few years ago, and now in order to settle an old grudge, he has to get band back together so that we can save our house. And that's basically the premise. But what happens and how it happens and the twists and turns and what you think is going to happen doesn't happen. And it's so great. It's great.
That's it sounds so great. Now, of course, but since we've talked a lot about the comedy, the dad jokes, we know the premise, but let's go into the musical side of it. Give us a taste of some of the songs. Like, do you have list maybe 2 or 3 of the numbers and you know why you enjoy those ones? Oh,
well, first of all, I love my number because I had this crazy wild past with the guys from Aerosmith. So I sing a song called "What Would Joe Perry Do?" Right? And so I want them to really think about it because they're about to give up. They have to get the band back together. And one is now a dermatologist, one is a cop, one is a teacher. One of them passed away, so they need this 16-year-old boy who's this guitar phenom. He comes in and fills in the band, and they're all like, "Oh, we can't do this, we can't do this." So then I sing a song about what would Joe Perry do, which is really a lot of fun. But there are also songs about, there's a song called "Life Without Parole" because the cop is in love, and he sings this great song. There's a kick-ass number based on Havana Gila that's done at a Jewish wedding that is so much fun, and it really shows off Sawyer, the young guy who's 16. I keep saying, "Oh my gosh, you were born after 9/11. Is that even possible? And you're on Broadway, already?" It's crazy. So
that's so great.
Yeah, no, it's got a rock and roll flavor, but it also has sort of Nashville roots, and it's songs that you feel you've heard before, but so they have a great hook. But it's all original music by the brilliant Mark Allen and Ken Davenport, the producer who just won the Tony for Once on This Island. He wrote the script with a group of improv actors, and John Rando, who won a Tony Award for Urinetown and has been nominated for other things. He's the director, and all of them. I mean, it's like a real pedigree. Whether it's Chris Bailey, who did the choreography, or Ken Billington, who did the lighting, or Emily Rebholz, who did the costumes. It's all Tony nominated or Tony winners. So it's quite the Broadway elite.
Yeah, well, you look down that cast and crew and everyone that you're listing, you're like, wow, they did that. Wow, they won for that. Wow, they won for that.
Right.
It's stacked. So,
I know, it's great.
So, yeah, we're excited. And I know we're a DC audience, but, I just did the New York.
Oh, you guys come up?
Yeah, I did the New York drive last weekend, and it took less than 4 hours on the way home. So it was fine.
Wow.
Yeah, so come on, no excuses.
Yeah, no excuses, especially during this time of year, because all Broadway ticket prices pretty much are half price. It's Broadway week, the next few weeks. So there's great seats available, and, it's like 2-for-1 specials on almost every show on Broadway.
That's
so
awesome.
Come and see getting the band back together, because if you want to feel good and you want to laugh your ass off for a while, this is the show to see.
Oh, yeah, it will be a laugh off. Awesome. Before we let you run, I definitely want to ask you real quick about some of those shows you mentioned. Memories of Grease and Chicago on stage for you.
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, my gosh. Both of them were great. I mean, Grease was my first show that I did the production in Chicago before it even went to Broadway, and then I ended up doing the first national company. So I toured the city, and we played the National Theater in D.C., which was great. Mm-hmm. And then, and then Chicago I did on Broadway, and I also did it in Las Vegas for a whole summer, and I ended up doing 408 performances of Chicago. So I love that show as well, and got to sing and dance and played Roxy. So yeah, I always thought that this would be the only thing I do is sing and dance my whole life on Broadway.
That's so great. And how did you, I think I read somewhere in your autobiography you talked about, you dated Travolta for a while? Did you guys hit it off over Grease, talking about Grease?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We met the first day of rehearsals, and we just hit it off right away because my mother taught dancing, his mother taught drama. My father sold cars. His father sold tires. We both have 3 sisters and 2 brothers because we're from families of 6 kids. And, we grew up in a very similar way, so we hit it off right away.
Awesome. Well, those became very iconic stage shows, and like you said, you thought that's all you'd ever do was, musical comedy. But then, of course, I honestly, when we say your name on air when this piece runs, all our listeners are going to immediately think, Taxi.
Taxi.
Memories of that really fast. I mean, because James L. Brooks went on to have a great direct film career with, Terms of Endearment, and Broadcast News, and all that. As good
he's
as it
seeing
gets.
the show tomorrow night. I'm so excited.
Oh, he's coming tomorrow night?
I'm so excited. He's seeing the show. He's
wow.
the show tomorrow night, so I'm very excited about that.
Oh, how long's it been since you've seen Brooks?
I saw him the day before I left. I see him all the time. We're really good friends. And Tony, I just saw 2 weeks ago because we did a little performance of something. He's coming to the show next week. Oh. And Carol, I saw 2 weeks ago at the opening. And Danny, I talked to. And as soon as he's back in town, he's coming to the show. Oh, no, we all stay in contact with one another all the time.
Well, that's so great.
Great.
So what do you,
The family.
Well, after all that, you pretty much, you're etched in time on screen together, but B, it seemed like a lovely group of people. But just, what do you think, why do you think it still lasts and everyone still talks about it all these years later? Is it the Brooks and his writing team, how hilarious it was, or is it the cast, or a combo of both, or what to you was the magic?
It's definitely a combo. I think if somebody writes a really good piece that lends itself to casting, great characters, and you cast them with wonderful actors, and then they all get along on top of that, how great is that? It jumped off the page for us, and we all felt like we were really given a lot of freedom to create our characters. And Jim was, it's funny, Jim reminds me, I told Ken this the other day, Ken Davenport, I said, and John Rando, I said, you guys remind me of Jim Brooks, because Jim Brooks let anybody watch rehearsals, make suggestions, and it was like a very open door kind of policy. And I think those are the best sort of cast and working situations. So.
Was there a moment, it's so many of those characters went on to be huge stars after that, but at this point you're catching them, we're still, late 70s here, so we're catching a lot of these guys and gals before they really even took off, like Judd Hirsch and Danny DeVito and Tony Danza, Christopher Lloyd, even the crazy-ass Andy Kaufman is on that show. So it's like so many people launched out of this. Was there a point where you're kind of looking around saying, wow, like I don't even know if these guys know how good they are. They're going to be huge in their own right after this.
Well, I was the youngest person, so it was hard for me to evaluate their performances at that point. But as Jim Brooks will say, and we just all talked to this Hollywood Reporter writer the other day, we all knew that this was like a golden time in our lives, and we appreciated it, and we adored one another, and had lots of parties to celebrate, and just really felt like we were this big happy family, and we still are. So, yeah, I think everybody felt like they were going to go on to other things, but we all knew how good it was over a Taxi.
Absolutely. Carol Kane, Rhea Perlman, it just goes on and on. It's just an iconic show. So, that'll hopefully, and just to wrap it all back around, do you think hopefully that name recognition from that and, LA Story and everything else you did, you think that'll help put some butts in the seats for the Broadway show so that we can make them laugh those butts off?
You got it. That's my dream. No, I think that the material will, even like some of my most cynical New York friends who see everything, they love the show and feel like it's a breath of fresh air, and who doesn't want to laugh these days?
Absolutely, we need it. So thanks for bringing it to us, and thanks for taking the time to join us. Everyone, again,
thank you.
It is called Getting the Band Back Together. Brand new show on Broadway, filled with dad jokes, my kind of humor. Thank you so much for joining us, Marilu. You're great.
Thank you. Dad jokes and great musical numbers as well, and a lot of heart.
And Marilu Henner.
That's cool. Annie.
All right, cool. Well, I encourage everyone to head up to New York and get up there and see Marilu and see the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.